Hey guys, it is Dungeon Master Mark bringing you the part 2 of the Rise of the Drow game I'm putting together. So in the last episode you guys saw where there was the big underground lake, and basically at the end of that adventure the characters were forced to, I guess, kind of flee or maybe take an underground river, try to go a little bit further into the quest or into the campaign. So basically what's going to happen, there's going to be a couple parts that I'm not going to cover in this particular video because I don't want to spoil things. But there's going to be a couple small encounters, nothing too drastic, nothing too combat oriented. Eventually the characters are going to make their way to like a little landing. And there's going to be a small waterfall. So once they make their way over the waterfall, either skillfully or not so skillfully, of course that is the golden question there, isn't it? What's going to happen is they're going to make their way into a new kind of chamber underground. So I can zoom in on the waterfall there. I have to apologize. I'm using my new Samsung Galaxy 2 camera. So it's one of the new Android smart cameras. It's a little different. I haven't quite worked out all the bugs with the system yet, so please forgive me. But this way I should be able to bring you guys a lot higher quality videos once I figure out how to work out quite all the kinks and everything of it. But when they first come into this, they're going to meet a couple friendly people, and they find out that this is basically kind of a meeting area where people come, kind of like an underground, underdark bazaar. Of course, this is going to be set in Galarian, Pathfinder's, the actual like Pathfinder Society homeworld. So it's called the Darklands. But like I said, we're basing this off of Rise of the Drow. I've tweaked a couple things here and there. But the first thing they're going to notice is this little island with this huge tower jutting up out of the middle of it. And I'm not going to spoil anything there, but they're basically going to meet someone who's extremely friendly, not very good. So it's going to be someone who's definitely very, very, very lawful evil. And that particular person is a necromancer who basically runs this underground bazaar to fund his experiments, and then also they use this kind of as an area to get new experimental races and slaves and things like that. So we zoom in here just a little bit there. So they're going to notice a couple really, really unique things. There's going to be a couple races. There's going to be a Medusa who is selling statues of slaves. That way you can get basically a statue of, say, if you want an Umber Hulk, if you want a statue of a Drow elf, goblins, all kinds of stuff. So it's be a little unusual because they've probably never met one before. She'll have a veil over her face and obviously not be trying to gaze attack people. They're also going to run into a beholder who is basically trying to find. The camera's going to focus there. If I can get it to there. But he's looking for new slaves. And each of the NPCs is going to have kind of unique backstories. This particular gentleman is actually going to be kind of a chaotic neutral. His goal is basically finding new races that his people have never met before. So one of our characters in our campaign is a magus who has an intelligent sword. This mind flayer is going to be all over the sword. He is going to offer him jewels and all kinds of riches for it. But basically he wants to find out what is making the sword tick. So it's going to be a little interesting. You notice the little old lady down here in the bottom. She's going to be some type of like underground like night hag. Which at first, when they first meet her, she's going to look like a sweet little old lady, which is going to be kind of unusual. But I'm sure the character, the party's going to have different ways to interact with people. There's going to be some Kutoa, which you see there's a little underground lake. Because the lighting isn't very good down here today. Let me see if I can brighten up just a little bit there. Yeah, I don't think it's going to work with us. But anyway, so the little underground water entrance right down here. There's going to be a couple Kutoa, and there's going to be like a little leader, which kind of like a more advanced Kutoa, which they're going to be friendly to the characters, a little cautious but friendly. And they are basically looking for anything from the above ground, which they're going to call upworlders. So they love wooden products, since obviously they live deep underground. They don't get wooden objects very much. If like wooden carvings and things like that, they're definitely interested in. So it's going to It's going to interact a little bit where there's going to be some trade opportunities if the characters have objects on them that they want to trade. Across from that is actually going to be where the lizard men are going to be layering, which I'm not sure how well that's going to come out here. But the lizard men themselves are kind of at war with the Kutoa, so they kind of stay away a little bit. They are going to offer the characters to purchase anything that the Kutoa want to buy. They're not going to offer as much money for the lizard men, but they're going to offer to buy the same objects. Now, the lizard men, on the other hand, they are also dealers and sellers of slaves. Specifically, they will also deal with human slaves. So it's going to put them at odds with the characters just a little bit. Now, the interesting thing is, if the characters do interact with these slaves, these are people, human beings that were bred into slavery underground. So these people are going to be like one step away from Morlocks, basically. Very, very pale-skinned. They don't even speak common anymore at this point. So it should be a little interesting. Now, since this is Rise of the Drow are the antagonist. There is going to be one lone Drow, which is this little area right back here in the back. He's going to have some type of servant up in the front. I haven't quite decided how I want to customize that. So I don't want to put a Drider in there because I think that might be too obvious. But he is going to basically be in disguise. He does not want anyone to know that he is a Drow when he finds out that there's humans here. But they may be able to get some interesting information from him if they do kind of ferret him out. Since this particular encounter, this particular session is going to be very, very diplomatic involved. Or I should say a lot of diplomacy involved. There's going to be a lot of angles that the characters can try to enact here. There is the possibility for a couple small combats. But this is going to be a lot of kind of planning ahead. I've got a lot of player handouts, like some maps and things that the characters are going to be able to get if they get the right roles as far as diplomacy, intimidate, and some knowledge checks. The last thing, in Galarian, there is an underground race of intelligent ghouls. I'm not sure how well that's going to pull out there. Now, remember, the main antagonist, or the main, I don't really want to call it leader of this underground, but the main person who set up this underground bazaar, he is a necromancer from the above ground world. So he is completely okay with undead, obviously. Now, the ghouls, though, they're going to be kind of a strange faction, because they have some really, really strange views compared to, obviously, the players. They are not necessarily against the necromancer, but they are not in line with his interests either. Their main thing is the acquisition of slaves, and they are perfectly okay with those slaves being Drow. So they will be more than willing to work with the heroes. Of course, they are undead, so some of the players in our group may have something really, really wrong with that, obviously. So this should be kind of interesting. I actually kind of made a big, long script of the one intelligent or advanced ghoul that they'll be able to negotiate with. But he has a lot of information that he's willing to provide to the characters if they bring them back certain objects or maybe slaves and things of that nature. So there's definitely a trade opportunity there. And the last faction in this underground area is going to be the Drow, or the Deep Dwarves, who are absolutely crazy beyond belief. In Pathfinder setting itself, the Drow are no more different. They're extremely, extremely paranoid. Their main thing here is trading and acquiring different types of mushrooms and different types of herbs. So the one person in our party who studies a lot of alchemy, one of the things that they specifically were looking for underground was a particular type of mushroom, which, of course, the Drow will have it, and the Drow have a couple things that they're willing to trade for some of the things that the party definitely already has on them. So the question is, though, can they overcome kind of the racial hostility, especially considering there's a dwarf in our party, when it comes to dealing with the Drow themselves, which obviously in any type of campaign, the Drow are very, very evil, very, very deranged. They don't have a problem with torturing, poisoning. They're quite delusional. So it should be interesting to see how the party interacts with those. And that is going to be kind of this particular session in a nutshell. When I laid out the design for this dungeon, I figured it would maybe take anywhere between 4 hours to maybe even as much as 6 or 8 hours. So I'm hoping we can get all this done in a 4.5, 5 hour session on Sunday. But we will have to see. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of role-playing involved in this particular scenario. Like I said, I have a lot of different handouts for the characters. There's going to be a map of the general underground area in this area that the players are going to be able to acquire. There's going to be a lot of background information on why the Drow are moving and things like that the characters are going to be able to learn. And then, of course, they're going to be able to kind of establish some rapport and maybe even an escape route if they do need that, which obviously the Necromancer has ways of getting out of the Underdark, teleporting up to the surface and things of that nature. There's going to be some trade opportunities for the various races. And, of course, the most important part is they are going to learn some very, 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 very valuable back information and kind of cliffhangers as to what's going to come. So, and that's pretty much it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Like I said, I've still got a little bit more stuff to put together. I'm going to work on like a little bit of dew, like maybe like some waves at the very bottom where the water comes down, and maybe tint that a little bit more. And then obviously I need to work on the lighting in this room, because the lighting in this room is kind of horrible for taking a video, to be honest with you. But yep, hopefully this video uploads all right. Don't forget, in the upper right hand corner I'm going to put a little link to the very first video. And if you do like this video, you want to see more about my campaign, stuff like that, please make sure you hit the like button down below or subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye bye.